Well, hey guys, how's it going? What's up with you all? Remember a couple of weeks ago I told you I had a lunch date with an old friend? I thought I'd tell you about that because I actually learned something from our conversations. Now, something I always suspected, but, and also in my own personal life, something I experienced. But it was good to get it from the horse's mouth point of view. Now, those of you who know, this friend and I have been friends for 40 years. 40 years ago, we fell in love. And for a year and a half, we were in love until I realized he had an attention span problem. And I think most of you know what I mean. And yes, I got my heart broken. But that was the last time I got my heart broken. But in the meantime, because I figured out that some men are just who they are, and they couldn't change if they wanted to, I didn't have any hard feelings. I just realized at that point that he is a better friend than he is a romantic partner. So for the last 40 years, we've been able to stay friends. We've taken trips together. We've done hobbies together. There was one point in my life where I was in a pickle. And normally I figure out all of my own problems, but this was something I couldn't figure out. And this man came through for me. And no, it wasn't money, because I don't believe in taking money from men. But the point is, he is a complex personality. There's a side of him that is like the world's best friend. If you call him up and he considers you like a family member or a friend, he will do anything in his power to help you. But there's also a side of him that basically he is a major dick. Okay? So I've decided that it was better to have him as a friend. And you know, in all honesty, I dated him until I met my husband. My husband and I had the same goals, and he was a good choice for me. I actually hung out with this guy until I met Leroy. Leroy and I had the same goals, and he was a good choice for me. Now, of course, he wasn't thrilled about this, but since he is basically a man who does whatever the hell he wants to, he can't really be mad if somebody else does what they need to. So we have managed to stay friends. It's not without our fights and disagreements, but we are still friends, and he is the longest term friend I have had. Now, this is what I want to talk to you all about something he said to me that actually made sense. But before we start that, let's take a moment to come to terms with the fact that I prefer to film outside. My home is decorated in subdued lighting because I love that effect. Now, yes, I do have a ring light, but it's not powerful enough. And quite frankly, I'm not trying to invest in something bigger. So yeah, I'm going to be outside when I film. That's the reason why I enclosed the patio, so I could be out here in all kinds of weather. Unfortunately, when it rains, you're going to hear it. If a car rolls by, you're going to hear it. When the birds are tweeting, you're going to hear it. If one of my neighbors decides to have a conversation, you're going to hear it. About the only thing that's going to force me to stop this video, because I got way too many other things to do as well, is if the grass people show up. So I hope you understand. Okay, let's get on with the video. Okay, now if you all remember, he had asked me for a lunch date right around Christmas time, and I said yes. But at that time, my arthritis was really bad, and I was using a cane. And I just decided I did not want him to see me at my worst, because while he is a good friend, he knows multitudes of people. That's the type of personality he has. And he's a bit of a gossip. So the last thing I needed was for him to run back and tell some people that we knew mutually, well, you know, Sheila's in bad shape now. So no, I did not want him to see me that way, and I ghosted him because I didn't want to explain or even talk about it. Now, Some may say, Sheila, that's kind of mean. Well, no, it's not. Because when you have the type of personality that you are going to do whatever you want to, it doesn't matter how it affects people who are close to you, then really, in all honesty, you should take being ghosted pretty damn well. You know, when I decided on my husband, I ended our friendship just straight up cold. I went to lunch with him and said, you know what? I think I'm going to marry my husband. That's it. Because I don't believe. I mean, first of all, what man would be comfortable with a woman still being friends with another man that she had had some intimate involvings with? So no, I just ended the relationship. Same thing with Leroy. Once I decided that Leroy was the man I wanted, I just cut him off. And, I'm not, I mean, maybe the reason why we stayed friends for so long is because we understand each other. So here's the thing. So when I see him pull up, because I'm sitting out on the balcony, of course, I see him pull up and I decide I'm going to head down the steps because not only does he have arthritis in his knees just like I do, but he also has a bad back, and that comes from 30 years at UPS, you know? So I go downstairs, and so I am coming through the lobby door, and my phone's ringing in my bag, and it's him. And so he's getting halfway out the car. He goes, I was just calling you. I said, I know. I saw you when you pulled up. So when I got in the truck, he goes, well, how did you know it was me? I said, for one, truck came down a lane that doesn't live here, and you pulled right in front of my apartment. So yeah, I knew it was you. He goes, but it's a different truck. I said, it doesn't matter. I knew it was you. So we head off to a restaurant that he had taken me to years ago for one of my birthdays or something. Also, my family and I went there for my 61st birthday. And we decided we didn't want to go there anymore because the food wasn't worth it. So this is the restaurant we pull up to, and I went, oh, well, Sheila, you're not paying for it, keep your mouth shut. It wasn't open when we first got there, so we just sat in the truck and we, talked and caught up a little bit, and finally it opened. And that's when I noticed the steps. I'm like, holy shit. I looked at him, I said, it's a damn good thing my arthritis is better, or I would have never made those steps. And he goes, I wanted to say something to you about that. The last time we were hung out, you did say you were beginning to get arthritis, and then, we had talked, and you said it was, you had changed your diet, and yada yada. But it when I had agreed to the dinner date or lunch date at Christmas time, I said, don't bring nothing low slung. Leave the Corvette at home, leave the Mercedes at home, and definitely don't bring the bike. Bring the truck. And so, that kind of gave him an idea that my arthritis was worse. He goes, but you walked to the car like there wasn't a problem. I said, that's because it got better. I said, so, we talked about what I did to get my arthritis better. And it's a good thing because I would have never made those damn steps. And I told him that, I had to lose some weight. He goes, well, Sheila, you weren't really big. I said, I know. That's why the doctor and I never talked about it before, because my weight was fine. And rather than go through 9 yards of horse crap, when the rheumatoid flare hit me and I lost 30 pounds, the doctor decided maybe that's where my knees wanted to be again. Because before, I had arthritis all along and never even knew it, and it didn't bother me. So that's why I am in the process of losing weight, and I think that I'm doing pretty good. Right now I'm at a solid 15 pounds down. Yeah, I go up and I go down, I go up, I go down. I spent 3 days with my daughter last week, and I gained 4 pounds because we ate, okay? But at least I know how to fix that, so that's not really a problem. But I just cannot believe how great I feel and how well my knees are working. So yeah, I would still like to lose another 10 pounds, but if I don't, and I had to stay right here, I could live with that. Absolutely could live with that with no problem. So then finally, we order and we're waiting for the food to come. He goes, you want to tell me why you canceled the date and then didn't take my phone calls? And I said, well, yeah. He goes, was it, have a bad relationship? And I said, I don't have bad relationships. I said, I haven't had a bad relationship in 40 years, and that was you. I said, I've learned my lesson now. He goes, well, what was it? I said, the arthritis. I just didn't want you to see me like that. He goes, well, we're friends. I said, yeah, we're friends, but you're still a gossip. And I didn't need, half the people that we knew together thinking I was old and decrepit. I said, so yeah, that's what it was. He goes, wow. I said, well, it's the truth. So we talked about a couple of other things. And I said, remember back when I was like 49, almost 50, and you told me if I hadn't found a man by the time I was 50, unless I had a hell of a 401k, I wasn't going to find a man. He goes, yeah, I remember that. I said, well, you know what? And you were telling the truth. I knew that. And yeah, you were telling the truth. But you know me, I still wanted to do the things I wanted to do. I still wanted to get some travel in. I still wanted to camp. And I knew it was taking a chance. And I said, right about the time the pandemic came, I thought, you know what, girl, you are running out of time. You probably need to, chill a little bit. And maybe finding someone to camp with isn't the most important thing. And you really don't like traveling with people. You kind of like traveling by yourself. And you pretty much got everything out that you wanted to get done other than Europe. So, maybe it's time to, when you go out with somebody, handle the conversations a little differently. But then, of course, the pandemic came. And so there was nothing I could do for 2 years. And then the arthritis came, and I didn't want to do anything until I could either fix it or accept it. And I said, that was true back then. I said, but I don't think that's true now. I said, I think the pandemic changed a lot of things. I said, even at 63, I think I still have a shot, only because everything is turned upside down. And he looked at me and he goes, I agree with you. I think you probably got a shot now. I said, well, thank you. And so here's the thing. Once we started talking about stuff like that, he was like, yeah, but there are some women who don't have any shots at all. And I said, really? Well, what women are those? He goes, well, I got this friend. I said, well, you always got somebody, so go ahead and tell me about it. He goes, well, her husband left her very well off. Very well off, Sheila. I said, well, you always like women who were, with that high job title and had the money and the cars and the jewelry. I said, you always like that. He goes, there's a difference between liking it and having to live with it. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, there's nothing I can buy her. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, remember how when we were in love, 40 years ago, and I'd buy you a $300, diamond bracelet, and you were tickled pink? He goes, I can't buy her a $300 diamond bracelet. He goes, I'd have to spend $3,000 for it to be up to her standards. I said, oh. He goes, when we go places, and it's someplace she wants to go, she offers to pick up the tab. I said, don't you like that? Don't you like having somebody think you're worth, paying for? He goes, I do and I don't. He says, now she asked me to go back to her home state with her. He goes, Sheila, we had dinner at the mayor's house. I'm like, damn. He goes, but the second time I went, I started to feel like a paid companion because people looked at me funny. I said, really? That bothered you? He goes, yeah, it did. And I said, babe, you got my full respect because quite frankly, I didn't think that kind of thing would bother you. I think a lot of men it would bother, but I didn't think it would bother you. He goes, well, it did. I said, oh. And he said, also, Now, please don't nobody get offended, but I really don't know how any other way to say this because this is what he said. She's bright. I said, she's smart? He goes, no, Sheila. She's light skinned. Now, y'all have to understand, this man is 74 years old, okay? In great shape, look good, got a fabulous McMansion house, okay? Got all kinds of toys. He has always had his own money. But I think the idea of someone treating him like a companion when he has always been the one to treat women like companions. And I ain't gonna lie. When we would go places, I didn't have to pay nothing. I totally enjoyed that. Because quite frankly, some of that stuff I would have never been able to afford to do. And the men that I decide to settle down with, we are more of, okay, let's sit down, let's look at the bills, let's see what we can squeeze out so we can take a little trip. That's not who he is. He doesn't have to do that. He just decides he wants to go and he wants to go. But she has so much money that it really cuts into his retirement income if he wants to pick up the tab because of the kinds of places she wants to go. And you also have to keep in mind his age. He was basically a small town guy, and segregation was hard when you lived in a small town. Now me, I'm from the city. You know, my parents moved us out to the suburbs. When we first got there, it was all white. Within 10 years, it was pretty much all black. But everybody there had worked their butts off to get there, so nobody brought their ghetto tendencies with them. It still stayed a nice area. He's got a problem with color. Now, as we talked about this lady, I got the impression that he kind of liked her. But he couldn't get past the shade of her skin, and he couldn't get past the fact that she had twice as much money as he has, if not 3 times. But I got the impression he liked her. So I said, well, what's going on with you all? He goes, well, she said that we needed to take a step back until I could figure out what I wanted because I wasn't acting right. And I said, oh, you still act like that? He goes, wow, what you mean? I said, you still have dinner with women, but yet your eyes follow every good-looking woman in the restaurant? I said, you still do that? He goes, I don't do that. I said, of course you do. I bet she said something to you about it too, didn't she? He goes, well, you know, she keeps watching me. I said, well, you know, if you're sitting across the table from someone having dinner with them, it's kind of hard not to see their eyes. I said, you know what? You are never going to find a woman because you are too complex. You have too many complexities. About 10 years ago, he and I were having lunch. And of course he does this. And I said, is there any way for like the remainder of this dinner that you could not do that with your eyes? And he goes, do what? I said, you know, follow every good looking woman around who gets up in this restaurant. Can you do that? He goes, of course I can. Oh my God, it was so damn funny. His face went through so many maculations. A good looking woman across from us got up. He went, then he looked at me. I said, see, you can't even help yourself. He goes, well, I wasn't trying. I said, yeah, you were. You can't help yourself. So, yeah. So, 2 things I learned. One, there are certain types of men who are not comfortable with a woman who makes more money than them. Absolutely not comfortable. Okay? And 2, in my age group and older, there are a lot of hurts and a lot of things in the past that some people still can't get rid of. You know what I'm saying? Me, I've dated white guys. I don't have a problem with it. But then I didn't go through what he went through. And I absolutely don't have a problem dating a man with more money than me. But I just thought both of those things were something to think about. So, that's the video for today. You all take care, stay blessed, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.